on Chelsea as well, there's talks of making an approach for Ivan Toney. A deal has been agreed for him to go to Saudi Arabia for around 50 million. The reports are Chelsea don't want to pay the 50 million and are not offering him anywhere near as much salary as the Saudi club, which I think we all understand. What does this mean, in your opinion, Potsy? Because a week ago, it was going to be, they went for João Felix after moving away from Osimhen. They were all in for Osimhen. Now it appears they've gone for Ivan Toney, who's a different type of striker, along with this Jadon Sancho talks that they're on. Toney to Chelsea, how much does he improve them, in your opinion?
Massively. I think this is a great signing. I really do. I've not been a fan of what Chelsea have done so far in the last few windows. I think it's a complete and utter mess. But Pedro Neto and Ivan Toney are two players I would have had at Arsenal. Honestly, I think Pedro Neto would have been fantastic for us to cover for Saka, and I think Toney upgrades on Havertz and Jesus. I really do. I think he is an absolutely superb player, clinical finisher, guarantees Chelsea at least 15 to 20 goals this season, and Jackson doesn't do that, in my opinion, in the Premier League. Jackson, I think, got 15 goals in all competitions last year, so it wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad, certainly. But Ivan Toney is levels, in my opinion. This is a really good signing. So this is the sort of signings I need to see Chelsea make to believe they've turned the corner to go, actually, okay, we're not buying kids anymore. We're buying ready now players. And I've said this for a very, very long time. And I've been consistent with LB on this. Both of us agree on this, that if Chelsea was to go and buy the Netos of this world, the Toneys of this world, they go and get a centre-back like a Diamande, that people start to go, actually, do you know what? These players have actually played. They've actually lived. They've done what's needed in the Europa League, in the Champions League. They played in the Premier League. They're Premier League proven. Then you can start looking and go, actually, they're all in their 26, 27, 28s. They're ready now. They're not going to be ready in 5-6 years. So for me, I think this is a very, very good signing if it happens. Now, I thought they were going to go for Osimhen. I don't know if that's done now, but I would suggest they probably won't go for Osimhen if they're going for Toney. But this is Chelsea. They would probably go for him as well.
On the reports, Nazir Kinsella has also stated that sort of he's hearing that Chelsea are more prioritizing the Osimhen deal. So it kind of feels to me like I feel like Chelsea are briefing the media about both, but maybe prioritizing what, Chelsea love, and this isn't a dig, it's just the way Todd Bowley works. They kind of love the fanfare of the transfer window. So there's credible reports for both that they're looking at. I mean, they're not going to, I can't imagine a world where they sign both, but who knows? And the reason I say who knows is Toney and Osimhen could play together because they're not the same kind of striker. I mean, but I doubt they'll sign them both. And which one, Nobbins, do you think Chelsea should go for? Should they focus on Osimhen, or do you think Ivan Toney would be a better bet?
This is something that I advocated for, I think it was like at the start of last season or maybe the season before. I really advocated for the idea of Chelsea signing Toney. I think I agree with Dan. I think that in a vacuum, so in isolation, I think it is a really good move. Toney, when he was at Brentford, would consistently torment City's defenders because his link-up and hold-up play is so wonderful. And I'm just looking at some of the players who are Chelsea who I think would benefit from that. So, for example, you look at players like Nkunku, maybe even João Felix, who are more of like a second striker sort of player, like they want to play centrally, not quite as an out-and-out striker themselves. They would really benefit from an Ivan Toney profile. Even like the wide players as well, like I think they would also benefit from a Toney like Neto, Mudryk, Madueke, whoever, Palmer, even crashing the box and running off of Toney. I guess then that just introduces issues similar to what we're talking about with the Sancho situation. So what does it mean for the current attacking options currently at Chelsea? What does it mean, for Jackson? Does he just become a wide player? What does that mean for Chelsea's other wide players? What does it mean for if Toney's starting basically every single game, as I say, not only Jackson, but you want to play one of Nkunku and Felix to get the most out of that brilliant link up and hold up play, but then that means you've got to sacrifice either fullbacks or wingers, and then what's that mean for everyone else? So that'll be my main issue. But in isolation, I think it's a really good signing, to be honest. I think I'm impressed with that one if it happens.
Yeah, listen, I agree. Chelsea have done a few deals. I think Tosin is a good player. I think Dewsbury Hall will turn out to be a good player for them. João Felix, I understood the skepticism around him because it was just almost out of nowhere. Why didn't you focus on it sooner? But I think he's a much better footballer than Amarodian. I think Pedro Neto, barring the injury record, again, is a phenomenal player. And you saw a difference when he came on at the weekend for Mihajlo Mudryk. And Chelsea did look really good in that second half yesterday. And I stated yesterday on the Top 6 show, Chelsea fans should celebrate that with glee. It's the best they've looked in probably 2 to 3 years in that second half. They also know that that isn't probably going to be the consistency from this stage. I've seen some Chelsea fans talk about finishing above Arsenal and Liverpool. I watched Jamie O'Hara, and I'm like, I know Chelsea fans are not going to fall for this. 3 weeks ago, he said they could be in relegation trouble. After that victory, he said they could challenge for the title. And it's a case of slow down a little bit. There's going to be peaks and troughs in this. But I believe bringing someone like Ivan Toney in would be a phenomenal piece of business for Chelsea. It really would. And again, I don't quite know and understand where Sancho fits in. And I'm basing that, and I want Chelsea fans to I'm basing that on what you're feeding back into me about where he stands in the hierarchy. And the reason I say that is because you're trying to push 7 players out this week because there isn't space in this current squad. And according to reports, you're looking to add 2 more players on top of this squad. So someone's missing out. So like the Raheem Sterlings of this world, the Lukakus, the Chalobahs, Chilwells, they're all being pushed aside, plus all the other youngsters that are not good enough to be in that 23. You're looking to add a striker and Sancho into that mix. Who then misses out? Who then gets sort of ostracized? I'm not even trying to be negative around the club. I'm just trying to understand from your perspective as fans where it fits in. There's not trick questions. I remember saying that to Liverpool fans years ago when they were linked in one summer to Kai Havertz and Werner at the same time. And I remember it took 3 months, and it was only Tom Little who just started coming on the channel. It took me 3 months to get a Liverpool fan to give a straight answer for where do they fit into the team and who do you think might be sacrificed in the first team or the squad. They didn't want to answer the question, which is strange because whenever you buy new players, somebody misses out because that's just the nature of the beast. So I just would love to get Chelsea fans' takes on that. But Toney as a player, phenomenal. It would be a phenomenal piece of business. And then you look at their window and you look at forget all the kids they've signed, because I believe most of that had to flip for the future. And there's a few deals in there that would definitely hit to help out some other clubs in PSR issues, facts. But toss in Dewsbury Hall, Pedro, Felix, Toney, maybe Sancho. In terms of age and experience, that's so much better than just buying youngsters that have only kicked the ball for a year, 18 months. It's that, for me, then you then give the manager time to knit that together. That spine then being added to the team, that age, that experience. Some of them have won things. And I even look at Ivan Toney's experience. Yes, he hasn't won Champions Leagues. Got to a Euros final, though. And probably should have played more football at that tournament, if we're being honest. But also his experience at the lower levels, the grit you have to go through, the struggle at that level, I think pays dividends when things are not maybe quite going right in the first team. And Chelsea had these players in this week. If they learn, I think they actually need to learn more from the first half against Wolves in the second half. Look at that. What went right, what went wrong. Start to improve on that. And Chelsea could end up having a really good season. They could. They could. These deals look really good for them in the last week.
You surprised Man United didn't go for him, Toney?
No, because if you watch Xerxes play, there's kind of Xerxes not as quick as him, but there's similarities there. The hold-up plays there. Yeah, and I like the look of Xerxes. I just was annoyed that we haven't started him yet, but maybe that's because of, maybe his fitness ain't quite where it needs to be. But I think that once we've signed Xerxes, plus you've got Rasmus, and the club is essentially saying that for at least the next year, we're going to focus on developing those two. I kind of get why they don't want to add another player to that mix, because what you don't want to do is tell players they're going to focus on you to try and get you to the level they think you can get to, and then just to go out and sign another player. Because I think that sends a bad message through the dressing room. But on a personal level, I'd have loved Ivan Toney at Man United. But I do understand why we haven't sort of gone down that road in the end. And yeah, I just hope Xerxes and Rasmus turn out to do well. But yeah, a brilliant piece of business for Chelsea. On Man United, though, I do now hope that we go out and we've got rid of Hannibal. We've actually got rid of a lot of players this summer. I think it's the most players we've sold in a summer since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, which I'm not surprised about at all. And obviously we got Ugarte in today as well, but I just hope we get another midfield player in and added. I'd love one more I actually think Ugarte is better on the ball than people are making him out to be. I'm not claiming he's Xavi or Iniesta, but people talk about him like he's the same as Scott McTominay on the ball. and it just makes me laugh. Genuinely, it makes me laugh. It's like, he just isn't. Do you know what I'm saying? He's more of the Declan Rice. He's more of the Declan Rice ilk. He's like Declan Rice level on the ball. Does that make sense? Just he's good on the ball. He's not Twinkle Toad, but he is a good player. But what I would love to add is somebody who is more technically gifted. I just worry about running Cobby into the ground this year. But maybe what our focus is, and we've spoken about Raheem Sterling, maybe the focus is we need to add a bit more goals because we've already missed the most big chances in the league. And if we'd have taken some of those chances, we may have won our first 2 games of the season. And I think that defensively, we look a lot stronger, although we fucked up twice. Individual mistakes in the game. The general day-to-day structure looks better. But yeah, I don't know. I want one more player. I think, ironically, as well, I don't want more than 6 or 7 because I then think you're adding too many and it becomes really hard to integrate and get chemistry and relationships going. But yeah, it's been an interesting summer for us, to say the least. This year says some super chats here. Dan, sorry, it comes up one in a minute. If we sign Sancho, it would not surprise me if he is loaned. If we loan or sell Mykhailo Mudryk, the manager has been quite critical over the last week. Yeah.
What would Don do? What would Don do? Don's been sending me reels of Mudryk saying he's improving. Don's going to be so upset if Mudryk goes. Oh dear, it's going to be terrible. Bless him.
He just isn't. He just ain't at the level, is he? He ain't at the level at all.
Of course he ain't.
This is the question to you, Dan.